And now we will present to you a slightly different approach to the idea of our meditation today. Once it begins, you may play music along with it to help you go into the altered state that is necessary for you to allow yourself to contemplate the guidance that we will give you. But before that begins, as you are now once again looking at the graphic as it is presented to you, and as you look at the different parallel reality ideas that are presented herein, from 1 to 8, you see below that there is the depiction of a wheel with the same numbers upon it. What this simply means is that there are different ways that you can approach how to use this permission slip. You can play with it as a game, which would be our recommendation. Because the idea is that by turning this into a little bit of a game, you will have more fun. You will open up your imagination a little bit more. And these are conducive states to utilizing this permission slip more effectively. So, as you see, this graphic is laid out in bars, 8 bars, but again, below it, there is a wheel. If you so desire, it is up to you. You don't have to do it this way. There are many ways to proceed here. But if you so desire, you can actually construct a little spinning wheel, like many of the spinning wheels in some of your games of chance. And as you spin the wheel, then whatever number you land on will be the parallel reality at that moment that you will contemplate and utilize the guidance in the meditation for. If you cannot construct, or simply prefer not to construct a spinning wheel to do this, again, there are other ways this can be done. You can take a copy of the graphic, you can lay it out on a board, and you can use your dice and throw your dice and see what they land on. Or you can put numbers in a basket or in a cup and draw the number out randomly for which parallel reality you may contemplate in the guidance that we will provide for you. So it is important, not so much exactly which way you do this, but the fact that you do it in a way that allows for randomness, because randomness is part of the idea of breaking continuity from your particular reality experience. So however it is that you prefer to create a random ability to draw a number from 1 to 8 will be just fine and will work perfectly for this particular exercise or permission slip. So now you can allow yourselves, while still allowing yourselves to look at the graphic, and in a moment, you can enjoy other images, but for now, keep focused on the graphic so that we can continue to explain how this particular meditation exercise that you will do on your own time will be best for you to experience. So let's for now just take the example, let's say, of the United States of Atlantis, which exists in a parallel reality. The idea behind this, if you will now simply go along with this for a moment, is to begin to contemplate on your own in a meditation all the differences you can imagine that might exist in that particular parallel reality. We will start you off as an example here for the moment with the idea that as people from the indigenous cultures in the Americas migrated eastward and created the culture you know as Atlantis, they continued to expand, to grow, and over time into what you consider to be the present of that particular parallel reality have expanded not only throughout North, Central, and South American continents, but also to some degree into what you consider to be the so-called European, Mediterranean, and African areas to an extent. But the idea is that in the Americas, there is sections that were created to be separate areas for various reasons that became states as you understand them to some degree. But this expanded into the United States of Atlantis because Atlantis incurred itself into the European and African and to some degree Asian continents before Europe developed in a way that would allow Europe to come across the Atlantic to the Americas early on in history. That did not happen in this reality. So by the time people in the areas you would consider to be Europe were even capable of crossing the ocean to any great extent, Atlantis had already established itself strongly in the North, Central, South American, European, and African continents, and a bit into Asia, to the degree that they became the dominant presence on that version of Earth. Now, Atlantean architecture, in many people's imaginations, has been depicted somewhat as Grecian or similar to Grecian architecture. But this is not the way Atlantis actually appeared. The clues that you have that are presented in what you call Aztecan, Mayan, and Incan architecture with megalithic stone blocks and pyramids and a variety of other structures that look more like the structures you would find in Central and South America today in your timeline are really more representative of the architectural style of Atlantis. And so the idea here would be that if you choose in the meditation you will do in your own time to focus on that particular parallel reality, the idea would be to make yourself comfortable, play music if you wish of whatever style helps induce you into the meditative state, and start using your imagination to dive deeply into that particular reality, seeing the images of the architecture, the people, that would be a mix of many different places, just as it is in your America today. Ultimately, because you're looking at this from the present, from the United States of Atlantis, and start seeing in your imagination many of the differences. See what the streets look like. See what the lighting looks like with Atlantean crystals. Allow yourself to really dive deep and immerse yourself in your imagination into many of the differences that would exist in that particular parallel reality. Or any other reality that you so choose, the idea of the exercise with music of your choice that would be somewhat representative of the reality you're exploring. You can let your imagination be your guide in this, but you can allow yourself to dive deeply and feel that you are actually a denizen, an inhabitant of this particular parallel reality, so that eventually, as you practice this in different meditations at different times, you will actually start to feel yourself as if you are there, and ideas will present themselves to you that are part and parcel of that reality. You will see things that belong in that reality. You will hear things and learn information that are part of that reality. And as you do this exercise and stretch your imagination this way, and there is no right or wrong way to perceive this, because it's all just about the stretching more than the idea of any accuracy of what's in that reality. Because remember, no matter how it is depicted in your imagination, it is going to be some version of a real reality in a parallel alternate universe. So it's all right if different people see slightly different things, because the idea of each of these 8 depictions is just acting as a seed to get you into a particular framework, but each of those particular frameworks can be different and expressed very differently in a multitude of parallel realities, each of which taking their cue from that particular general seed that we present to you here today in this particular permission slip. So it's all right if there are a multitude of differences. Each of you will have your own experience in whatever version of that parallel reality you so desire that is relevant for you to see. And each of the things you do experience will be relevant for the being you are in that reality. So allow your imagination to be your guide. Allow yourself to write down after you take that experience for about 15 of your minutes in that meditative state, exploring deeply into that parallel universe. Afterwards, when you come out of it, when you emerge, write down all of the things you saw, you heard, you felt, you experienced in that parallel reality version that you allowed yourself to connect to vibrationally. And as you do that, again, not for the purpose of so much detaching or disconnecting or dissociating from the timeline that is relevant for you here and now, but the idea is that you will have stretched yourself to such a degree in certain ways so that you will bring that ability back with you into this timeline so that you can stretch into the different versions of this timeline that are more relevant for you every single time you do this. So you're using, paradoxically, other parallel realities that allow you to stretch your imagination in fun ways to actually stretch your imagination for this timeline so that you can make sure that what you do experience in this timeline is always going to be in alignment as best as it possibly can be with what is relevant for you to experience your true self and live your passion in this lifetime, whatever that may be, according to who you truly are.